The Go Radio Business Show with Trywire.com.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Willie. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been a busy week. I think I said to you one morning I started at 8:30 in the morning. I was working at 10 to 10 at night. This is me supposed to be taking it easy.
You need to take it a bit easier, Willie.
And obviously you're somewhere sunny, you're out of country at the moment.
Yes, I'm out of the country, mixing business with pleasure, which I always like to do. But I'm beaming in for the Go Radio Business Show, Willie.
So does that mean you put your flights against tax? Is that what you're saying?
No, I can't do that, Willie.
I thought we'd start this week, obviously, big story about the cyber attack on Jaguar Land Rover and the terrible implications of that. What do you think?
Yeah, so it seems to be becoming more prevalent, Willie. We've got Marks and Spencer's getting hit. We've got the Co-op being hit. The big one in Scotland, of course, was Arnold Clark being hit just before Christmas a couple of years ago. And it seems to be, you used to be able to look at somebody and know they were a villain in business and they were out to rob you. But now they just do it through technology. And I think the main question is, what can our viewers and listeners do about it? I actually had a board meeting about it last week, and we looked at companies called Darktrace and CrowdStrike, and we went through the whole rigmarole, and it is a bit of a rigmarole of who can keep us safe. And we have decided to invest a great deal of money in this. You can also take out insurance, Willie. Insurance for me is something you pay until you need it. Then they find a way of not paying you out. But anyway, there is cyber attack and insurance out there. And I think it's up to every business out there to work out what it is that works for them. But I tell you what, there's no business safe because of technology these days, Willie. I mean, what did you do to protect all your systems? Is that Secret Service stuff?
Well, Tom, I've got to be honest. I mean, we have had an attack, right? We have had an attack. I don't think it's as bad as it's been for other people, but we believe that we've got all the firewalls, we've got all the security, we've got everything. But somehow or other, that people did manage to come in and mess my business up for quite a time. But it's not that, it's what happens after that. It's your reaction after that. So what happens is you then double down in the safety. And I have to tell you, Tom, the interference costs you millions, but the security thereafter, the steps that you take, costs you a lot more millions. Right. So I would say anybody out there who's got a substantial business, do something about it before that they come after you, because there is no doubt. I've said it, Tom, and I believe a lot of it. I think our hack came from Russia. I think, most of them come from Russia. I think that Russia's been at war with us for a long, long time, only it's been a cyber war.
Yeah. Maybe we just didn't realise it, Willie. So there is a train of thought, and I think it was the chief exec of the Co-op is behind this one, saying that if your business is attacked, you have got a responsibility to report it, because some people do pay the ransoms, Willie, because it's maybe worthwhile for them. I can understand why they might want to, but all of the people that we've mentioned today, they didn't pay any of the ransoms out. But what this lady was saying was, look, we think that if you're attacked, you've got a duty to tell people and not pay them, because that just encourages them. So it's a really difficult one, Willie, really difficult.
I think that all businesses will be different, but I think the essence of what she's saying, I agree with her. It's going to only encourage more. But I think companies will find themselves in a position. I think there's a lot more cyber attacks than we hear about, and I think some people pay, but we spent our money on safeguarding and double safeguarding, and I'm talking about in the tens of millions, right? To just make sure that we don't get attacked, don't get a severe attack. But I think that this is Putin's had a cyber war with the West for many, many years, and this is only going to get worse.
Yeah. So I would say get the best protection you can. that's the decision we made, and we're paying a lot of money for it.
Yeah, the consequences of the attack on Jaguar Land Rover was potentially loads of people being laid off, being furloughed, and then the government stepping in to help, and then the whole supply chain and everything that goes with it. So really, this is an industrial war that I believe that Russia is weighing on the West. So these bad actors, as they're called, I think it's becoming more and more prevalent. So I would just say to anybody especially companies who have to carry people's personal data.
Yeah. And of course, the irony of Jaguar Land Rover, it's owned by an Indian company, Tata, and Tata Consulting Services do all the systems and cybersecurity. So they've had a double hit there, Willie.
Yes, yeah, and that just shows you how clever these people are. So, but it's good to see that they're back in production. I think next week people can get back to work, but it's just a wee warning for everybody out there, as I say, especially if you've got people's personal data. So, Tom, the next big story, obviously, is the breaking news this week about the court ruling against Baroness Moon.
Yeah.
So for people who didn't see it or haven't heard, the High Court judges ruled that PPE Medpro, the company, which we now know, owned by Doug Barrowman and Associates and, affiliate of Michelle Moon, have been ordered by the judge to pay back £122 million.
Yeah, it's quite a ruling, Willie. Obviously, I've known Michelle for some time. I helped her get going in her first business all those years ago. And frankly, I liked Michelle. She was feisty. She was great at the PR. She really hustled, got that business going. But I think, listen, we've got to put it back into the context of what was happening. At the time, nobody in the world had faced this sort of pandemic before. And the government, it was a Tory government, and they were kind of struggling to get the amount of PPE into the hospitals.
Yeah.
But they did something which was a bit, I couldn't actually believe it at the time. They put in a VIP lane, which basically said if you knew somebody in the government, you get access. I suppose maybe over a glass of whiskey at night, that looked a good idea. But in the cold light of day, I don't think it looked a good idea. And this has taken a long time to come. But the thing I don't understand, Willie, is the company has now gone into administration. So how will the taxpayer ever get any money back because the company's bust?
I think the case is, I am led to believe that I think loads of assets were frozen or whatever. There was a lien on them long before I think the assets were being sold off from the company. I've got no doubt that HMRC would have done something. They would have egg all over their face if they'd spent all this money, all of this time to then find out the company's administration because it's got no assets. And I also believe, Tom, that if fraud is shown to be involved, then they can come after personal assets. Right? I'll get a check on that, but I'm told that that is the case. But what I would say is that Michelle and Doug have said this week, obviously they were out yesterday saying that they've been scapegoated, right? And I'd like to think that with the announcement of Rachel Reeves this week saying that we're setting up, Labour are setting up a think tank, a investigative think tank that's going to go after everyone. And I think that that is great news because if they don't, then I think Michelle and Doug have a right to say then that they were scapegoats. So I think there'll be a lot of people with this ruling this morning down in London who were all part of the Tories VIP lane and friends, guys in the, that had nothing to do with delivering merchandise or medical equipment were suddenly now suppliers. Okay, I'll be interested to see there'll be a few people nervous today after this ruling.
Yeah, I think this is good for the Labour Party, Willie. I don't know if you agree, but, a Tory baroness, a Tory government, and Labour being seen to do the right thing. So I think politics and the hidden hand of politics is all over this. I'm not coming to the defence of Michelle and Doug, but I think politics has had a lot to play in this. And I think if others are not brought to justice, if they have did wrong, then Michelle and Doug Bannerman would have a case for saying, hang on a minute, why are we getting singled out here?
I don't think that will be the case, but definitely, as I said, if that is the case, then that will be a fair judgment of what's happened to them. But I hope that they manage to claw back billions of the money from all of the people who should never have been supplying stuff in the first place, who are not qualified. And on that, just to note in business, I thought that the Labour Party conference, the two main speeches from the Chancellor and from the Prime Minister were very, very good. I would have liked to have seen a wee bit more about business, but I don't think it was about that. We'll probably find out more about that in the budget. But I would think that I was watching the speeches to see if there was anything at all that would affect business, and I think I didn't see anything, no good or bad. There was nothing there. So it'll be interesting to see what the budget looks like when that is actually dropped on us. Here's hoping that that business will be happier with the budget than they were with the last one.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Willie, if this is a kind of last chance saloon, which sounds stupid because the government's only been in power for, 15, 16 months.
Yeah.
But, if this budget on the 26th of November is just smashing up business again, I don't think the Labour government's got another chance with business. I honestly don't.
No, and hopefully they will rectify some of that. Well, good things for the government to see that Scotland's to share in a pot of 250 million that's been announced by the Ministry of Defence. The new UK defence growth deals will be aimed at helping smaller UK businesses to unlock growth and innovation in the defence sector, specifically targeting the larger increases in defence spending coming down the track. This can only be good for Scotland, and it was good to see that Scotland got a good shout out, for obviously for the efforts on the Clyde and Rosyth.
Yeah.
So hopefully again that'll be another wee boost for business. It's a lot of good jobs, a lot of quality jobs. So well done. It's another pot of good news, as we would call it.
Yeah, I would just say that I think the SNP government have got themselves in a difficult position because they've come out and said, they're not going to invest in munitions or any companies that go to war. So on the one hand, you might think, okay, good moral stance. On the other hand, this is the defence of our nation. And, I would just say that I live next to Prestwick Airport. And Prestwick Airport is owned by the government, so it's owned by you and me and all the rest of the Scottish taxpayers.
Yeah.
And it's now a military base, as far as I'm concerned. Ryanair is the only commercial passenger aircraft carrier that's moving out of there. The rest of it, we've got the Royal Canadian Air Force, who've got a forward operating base. And the majority of aircraft that I see when I'm out walking my dog are military. So if you're taking a stance, you're either 100% in or you're not in at all. So I would like somebody from the government to tell me where they stand on this one, Willie.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a conundrum. Yeah. So one of the darling brands of Scotland, Walker's Shortbread, have reported record revenues this week, that they've topped the 200 million mark in sales for the first time in this financial year. And it marks a 9% rise on year of pre-tax profit to 18 million for the business. It's great to see one of Scotland's most iconic businesses providing, obviously the stable diet. As my pal says, when I give him a plate of shortbread, he'll say, a Glasgow salad.
Well, actually, the hotel I'm staying in over here, I have Walker's Shortbread with my coffee in the morning, that's for sure. But an iconic Speyside business that isn't doing whiskey, amazing. And just a shout out for an amazing family business, 127 years old, this company. And Sir James Walker, he just passed last December. It's now run by Nicky Walker, who I believe you'll know better than me, but he used to be a goalkeeper.
For Rangers, yes.
For Rangers, did he?
Yeah,
right, okay.
Yeah.
But a great business. They've got Andy... they've got Andy Murray now as a business ambassador for the brand, and keep on doing what you do, 127 years and going strong.
The Celtic fans having a wee jibe at Nicky when he was Rangers goalkeeper used to say, butter shortbread, butter fingers.
You can't help it,
He was actually a good goalie, Nicky Walker. He was a good goalkeeper. Also, moving on swiftly. Sorry, Nicky. Great to see that the Scottish recruitment technology business, Willow, has raised $3 million in additional funding for their platform that helps significantly reduce the number of fake applications job adverts get. The funding also came from a tech titan in Peter Bauer, who founded cyber giant Mindcast in London. Well done to Willow. More money coming into Scotland, more investment.
So, I mean, another great Glasgow success story, Willie. They're based in Glasgow. The founders there, Ewan Cameron, Andrew Wood, Hamish Livingston. And believe it or not, Willie, this is a recruitment tech platform. And what's been happening, because of AI, there are so many false CVs coming in now, because somebody presses a button and it brings out a brilliant CV, but it's probably not true. So the boys here have been able to use AI against AI and to make sure that the CVs are actually genuine. And Peter Bauer, who's a bit of a guru in this sector, has put in $3 million, taking the total raise by Willow to just under $6 million now. So good on them. Maybe get them on the show, Willie, because it's a great success story.
Yeah. Not a bit of good news as well. Pal of ours, Sir Ian Wood, opened the new energy transition hub this week with the First Minister in Aberdeen. The new 10 million facility is expected to support up to 1,000 people into jobs in new energy sectors and focuses on a range of skills from a welding academy to a digital training suite. Got to be good for the North.
It's got to be good. When I looked into this story, Willie, this is the whole thing about the transition from hydrocarbons to renewables. And what we're saying is there's a lot of transferable skills up there. They just need a bit of help with it. So I would actually like to thank the Scottish Government. They've kicked in a substantial many millions to this, Willie. So the Scottish Government is actually putting their money where their mouth is. So well done to them.
Yeah. Well, while we're on that and we're in that area, I see that Roy McGregor, good friend of mine, again, his company, Global Energy Services, he's sold bits of it off to Japanese. He's added to it. He's having a go again. I think at his age and my age, we begin to slow down. But Roy, obviously, big player up in the North. I think that good luck to them. I think they've rebranded now, everyone under the Global brand. So wish them all the best. There's obviously huge opportunities in that area, coming, in the next 10, 20 years. So hopefully, guys like Roy will be at the forefront of trying to make sure that the infrastructure is correct so they can build on that.
So well done to Roy. And while I'm out here, I take my time to catch up on all my reading, and something struck me, Willie, and I was going to phone you about it. It's like the most dangerous time in a person's life is the year they retire. So I'm not going to retire, and you shouldn't retire either.
No, I'm long past my retirement age. and people would say my sell-by date, so.
Oh, never.
Let's finish on our old pal, Elon.
Right, what's he up to now?
Well, we have said, since we started the show 4 years ago, we've said many, many times the importance of your team.
Yes.
His team are jumping ship in droves.
Yeah.
Right? So many key executives are leaving the business. I just wonder where this is going to leave him.
Yeah. Well, listen, we all know on this show that the key to a successful business is the attraction and retention of talent. You can't do it yourself. I don't care how good you are. And Elon is a genius. Every genius is flawed. I get it. But you just cannot build a big business all on your own. It's about the others you attract and you retain when about it. So I've got somebody now who works for us, who used to be a direct report for Elon. I think I've told you the story, Dex. Dex Dex's face-to-face meeting with Elon every Wednesday morning in San Francisco was at 3 a.m.
Wow.
So Dex could only stomach that for a year. He said that was at SpaceX. He said it was really brilliant work, but Elon just used to go to sleep wherever he fell and wake up and expect everybody to be the same.
Wow.
That just doesn't work, Willie, does it?
No, it doesn't.
The Go Radio Business Show with TryWire.com.
Tom, great guest on the show this week. We've got Jamie Burns, who's the MD of Ailsa Reliability Solutions. Easy for me to say.
Easy for you to say, like.
Welcome. I done that just for that.
So it's great to see Jamie because he's a good Ayrshire boy. Now, Jamie, where were you brought up, son? Tell the viewers and the listeners.
Irvine, born and bred, everyone. So just not far for yourself, Tom. So Irvine, born and bred.
So tell us a wee bit about your journey, how you started off, early years. Where's the entrepreneurial spark come from?
The entrepreneurial spark, I think that's always been there. I can remember I've heard you asking before, do you think an entrepreneur is born or it's bred? And I think in me it was kind of born because I think I was about 12. I wanted a pair of trainers. If I'd known Tom at the time, it would have been easier probably. But I wanted a pair of trainers and my mum just didn't have the money. Yeah. So I was like, all right, then I'll go and make it myself. And then I did bacon runs, paper runs, delivered the Evening Times, had a wee confectionery business, all that kind of stuff. And then evolved into becoming the sales jobs and stuff like that. Sold Kirby's. Yeah. Aye. My grand's still paying hers off. So
Tom, did he buy any, did he?
I don't know, did you, Tom? But if you did, I would have probably got you to take it in finance. That was my thing back then. I didn't understand the downfalls of finance. And as I say, I just knew that I got an extra 150 quid or whatever it was for it. And my poor granny was paying it up for years.
So what did you do when you left school?
I left school originally and went into engineering. I was always quite engineering-led. And at the time, it didn't work out because before I left school, I used to do door canvassing. So I was doing door canvassing while I was still at school and I was really good at it. And I used to make a lot of money. Then went into the kind of engineering. It was a fitter turner apprenticeship and it didn't really work out. So I then ended up back in sales. So did door-to-door sales for a number of years. As I say, did Kirby's, sold Provi and all that kind of stuff. So did a lot of difficult door-to-door sales.
We hated you.
Did you?
We hated the Provi man.
Aye, but I was the guy that gave you the money. I didn't collect it.
Right,
so I was a good guy.
We used to shut the blinds and shut the curtains and everybody had to be quiet when the Provi man came to get paid.
Oh, I can remember. I sold Provi in Figgy Park. I sold it all over the place. So I was like Santa Claus coming in the street because as long as your name didn't have a black mark against it, you were allowed the money. Right? Aye, that's the way it worked. And I used to go in and people were queuing up waiting for me coming in because they seen it as free money. But what ended up happening is you see the people that needed it the most, they actually liked it because they couldn't get money from anywhere else. And I'd be like to them, listen, just keep paying that and that becomes a wee bit of a safety net for you. Yeah. Even though it's about 300% interest.
People don't realise that in the schemes then, where I lived in the Gorbals or Easters or Castlemilk, I mean, the Provi was the bank.
100%. Aye, and there was so many people relied on it. Yeah. I mean, I bought my first car with a Provi loan. Mm-hmm. Right.
I bought my missus a car with a Provi loan. 600 quid, a Ford Capri.
Aye.
I think I'm still paying interest.
Aye, mine was a Ford Escort. I thought a Gear, but it was a Gear one. It was a fancy number. So I did that. And then I went back and did a modern apprenticeship in 2000 as an electronic engineer. Right. Did that, but then I realised...
So who was that with, Jamie?
That was with SCI, Tom. SCI based in Irvine.
Well, that was who my wife Marion worked for in the Long Road there.
Did she?
So she was in SCI with her sister.
Was she? Brilliant.
That was yesterday, right enough.
Aye, so I was there 2000 to nearly 2004 when they shut that factory. Went there, loved the job, but then realised I didn't want to be in a factory. So it just wasn't for me. I liked being out and about. So then ended up doing sales jobs, became a sales engineer, progressed my career with a company, Avery, the scale company.
I know them, yeah.
So Avery, the scale company, I then was sales engineer, became sales and contracts manager for Scotland, business development manager, and eventually I ran the whole of the UK and Ireland service contract based. Right. So back then, that would have been 2010. I took that job on, it was like 16.1 million or something like that.
Wow.
And then get headhunted by GE to start a drives and controls business for them, a service business in Scotland, just based in at Thornley Bank, and then get headhunted by my previous employer.
I've read a lot of stuff about GE, especially the Jack Welch shares. I'd be interested to meet somebody who's worked with. What were they like as a company to work for GE? General Electric.
General Electric, very, very good with a lot of things, but very poor at a lot of things as well. So it was a good place to work. Benefits were great. You get treated well. If you wanted to learn, there was huge amounts of opportunities for you.
Yeah.
Some of the bad things is they were constantly trying to evolve, which is a great thing in most worlds.
Yeah.
But like I spoke to a guy that worked for them for 20 years in America. I says, "What does the world think of GE over there?" He said, "They're just looking to, everybody can't wait to see what they want to be when they grow up."
Yeah.
And you're like, that was the thing. They're buying a business here that didn't really make sense, and they're trying to integrate it into another part of a business that didn't really make sense. So you're constantly going through that turmoil.
Yeah.
But I love my time there. The only reason that I left is when I went to them, I went to run a P&L. Right. That's what I wanted. So I had always that desire to become a P&L leader. Right. Went there and I had my own little business. I had my own sales team, I had my own comm ops team, tendering team, service engineers, all that kind of stuff. And then when it became GE-ified, so GE'd have your comm ops team sit over here, your sales team sit in another team. And then it kind of disbanded my team because they all went to different places.
Right.
And because of my sales experience, what they asked me to do was come in and actually look after the energy services vertical for the whole of Northern Europe. Right. So, which is great, right? And it was a fantastic job. But I then just became somebody that was running a sales team again. And that wasn't really what I was there for. Right. And then I was travelling up the M6 one day, and Quartz Select had been trying to get me for ages. And I was travelling up the M6 and I decided to take the call. And that was game-changing for me. So I went up to that Aberdeen business as a true P&L leader. So basically your own boss. It was a £5.5 million turnover business with 55 people. And I went in there and I started with them in May 2014. I went in there with this fantastic kind of growth strategy, right? I was like, I'm going to come down into the Central Belt. I'd already picked the businesses we were going to purchase, blah, blah, blah. And then the oil price went right through the floor. So it went from this fantastic kind of growth strategy to survival mode.
Right.
Managed to keep that business going, managed to keep basically all the staff. The only people that we lost are the ones that were kind of due retirement age. Managed to get them away with a wee bit of money and managed to keep the core staff. And if it wasn't for the decisions that were made back then, that business would have been shut down. Wow. Because what happened was, and this is no disrespect to the finance director, I love the guy to bits, but he's like, we need to half this workforce. I'm like, with half this workforce, I says, you will not have a business here. It's as simple as that. Because it will come back. It might never get back to the heyday, but we need to be able to react. When you get a phone call, so say, for example, we were working with BP, right? And then we didn't work with Shell. All the competitions paid all their folk off. Shell like that. We need somebody. If we're the first people to jump on that, that's Shell now our customer. I said, so if you get rid of all these people, you don't have that same ability to react. So we had a full, kept the sales team going and actually managed to react. And we grew the number of customers we had. Our revenue was still down. But say we had 10 customers, right? And 3 of them were key customers. And you did your 80-20. We ended up with 20 customers. And that's what managed to keep that business going. Yeah. And then I took over another role. So I became a regional director with that business. And then I had a 30 million turnover business with 7 business units. That was Aberdeen, a few businesses in Rugby, the global engineering service business, coil manufacturing business, naval business, and then the remote monitoring R&D business, or the continuous condition monitoring R&D business in Switzerland. Right. And that's where the business that I've got now kind of came from. And the idea was, we were expert firefighters, right? You've been in that game as well. Something breaks down, you get to it, you fix it. Everybody's good, guys. But the stress and the people, the amount of money that's wasted in that and the environmental impact is massive. So my whole philosophy in life was, let's tell you that's coming, right? Let's stop everything being an emergency all the time. So that's what we do now. So basically, all the stuff that we used to be the firefighters, we call ourselves the fire prevention officers. So we are telling you that's coming. And then you can plan it in. It gets done through a scheduled shutdown. You're not losing any downtime. And everybody's not stressed out their head and wasting hundreds of money.
So it's a kind of generic explanation. Give the listeners and the viewers an example of where you're being ahead of the game now.
Mm-hmm. What with regards to
so give an example. So like, when I would explain this back in the day, when I worked for UTS Carrier, back then in the 80s, you would wait until the lift broke down. Right. So like you're saying, so we were firefighters. What we then invented was sensors that told us in 3 months the bearings are going to go. Right. So we're ahead of the game. So you're kind of...
So that's exactly what we're doing. So we started the business as a service business, right? And that was to prove our credibility, put money in the bank, to then help develop it. We were always going to turn into a tech business. So when I started this in the middle of COVID, but I seen COVID, I thought COVID would have been an accelerator of this because you can't send people everywhere. So that whole lack of availability of third-party resources, I thought would have accelerated. So I wanted to get in there at the beginning so we could get ready for that. So what we're doing now is we're putting technologies all over the place. So we're currently right now monitoring 4 oil platforms from our office in Kilwinning without having to send anybody to it. So we're sitting there and predicting failures on these equipment that is, I mean, I'll give you one example. There's a gas compression system. It generates 2.5 million revenue a day. We managed to tell them that, there's 2 things on that. One, they were going to change out the motor on it. So they're going to change out the motor on it, and the overall project was going to be, I think it was about £1 million for the change out, and then you're 3 weeks worth of downtime at 2.5 million a day. We told them they didn't need to. Right, so we were like, your motor's fine, your compressor's knackered, right? But your motor's fine, and they could fix the compressor there. That saved them lots and lots and lots of money. So that's just being able to have that kind of predictive and being able to get access to the data. But what we've now turned into is, rather than the technology business, we're a data management business. So we'll tell the clients how best to get the data. That's either us teaching them or putting a technology on, and then we'll take that data. We've got our own software platform, take that data and all these multiple different types of data streams, so vibration, electrical signature analysis, partial discharge, temperatures, all these kind of things from the electromechanical equipment, bring it all into the dashboard, and then turn that into a story that they can understand.
So you're not necessarily repairing the job, you're helping them up front.
We don't repair it. We can repair it, so we came from the repair world, but we don't do it. And the reason we don't do it, Willie, is because we want them to know that the information we're giving them is the truth.
100%. You know, because you'll know, and Tom will know this, is that you still, no matter what kind of rapport you've got with a client, when you go and tell them something's broken, here's the cost, they think you're at it.
100%.
Right. So what you're doing is saying, here is the information that you need to know. How you deal with that, how you procure that is up to you.
100%.
Right. So they know that there's nothing in it for you to tell them something's going to break down when it's not.
And that's why we've stayed that. And we've stayed independent to other technologies. So customers, we'll go to customers and say, we think you should put that on it. It's no ours. Right? We'll just pick the best technologies that are available in the market and say that's the best thing to try and find the problem that you're going to experience. And it's all about that trust thing, because trust is huge for me. When I was in Quartzlake before, I tried to take that whole philosophy to it, but they're going, you just want the repair. Right? So we know that you're telling us, you want to tell us this is coming in advance, so you've got a better chance of winning that bit of work. And there was a bit of that in it. But you're trying to be the good guy, but you also need to feed all the mouse in your factory. So now we just try and be the good guys.
So Jamie, can I take you back a wee bit? Because you've kind of brushed over your salesman and you're running all these other people's businesses. How did you go from that to say, no, I want to be master of my own destiny and I'm going to start my own business? How was your thought process? How did you get the money? And what's any tips for the viewers and the listeners this morning?
So made the decision, as I say, it was the middle of COVID. I'd thought about it before, right? But what had happened was, obviously you've got your wife, your kids, your mortgage, you've got all that kind of stuff. So me and my wife split up. So the best thing she ever did was leave, and then I managed to go, do you know what? I'll just start out the business. because so what had happened was, Tom, I had always kind of thought about trying to do something, right? I always had back to the entrepreneurial kind of spirit within me, but you never did it. I never did it because of that. So me and her had split up. She had her own house. So I'm like, do you know what? What am I gambling? My own time and potentially my house. And I come from a council estate, and guess what? See, if it didn't work, I just went back. Such is life. So that was always gambling. So I just felt that
where was the council estate?
It was in Irvine. I'll not go too much into that.
Right, okay.
I'll go back tomorrow and know about me.
It wasn't Burtree Hill, was it?
No, it wasn't. No. It was worse than that, Tom.
Don't go there.
But what had happened was, so at the time when COVID was happening, the team that I ran down in Rugby, so I had basically almost 100 people that were having to be in a factory.
Right.
And I'm like that. I didn't need to be there, right? Because I could have just stayed in Scotland. But the way I lead teams is see if you're having to be there, then I'm going to be there. Yeah. So I still travelled up and down the M6 every week because I didn't think it was fair that they weren't getting to see their family and I'm sitting in the house. Yeah. So I did that, and then I'm driving up and down and I'm going like that, what am I doing? So different things happen, as you know, in a business, and there was things that were promised and things that's blah, blah, blah. So I went, do you know what? And I made the decision probably in about the April time that I was going to start looking at this. Then the only reason, I was going to do it before, but see if I'd have left, when COVID hit, I had 250 people indirectly reporting into me, half of them would have lost their jobs. Right. So I stayed to make sure that they had a proper strategy in place to keep these people employed. And then I think it was the June time, the leadership team says, oh, we're looking at a management, a restructure of this team. Oh, you're good to you. Give me some cash, right? Didn't get it. Mm-hmm. So I ended up leaving in August, started the business in September with my 3 months low money and a dream, right? And then had to go and work out. Luckily enough, COVID was there, so my mortgage company, I was in front with that, managed to get my mortgage payment stopped for a while, managed to do a bit of scadging off for folk. And then, that's what I was saying before I come in here, was I then had to, so the business was funded by me delivering Chineses. That's how my life was funded. So I used to drive about delivering Chineses on a Sunday, listening to this show for the Sunday. I'm like, I'm getting on that one day, right? I am going to go on that one day, and here I am. It's a proud moment.
Amazing. So tell us a bit about the size of the business today, what your turnover is, and what your big plan is.
So turnover this year just got about 2 million.
Brilliant.
So about 2 million. We've got 25 staff.
Magic.
A lot of our staff are all young, so probably 70% of our workforce are under 30.
Wow.
Because we're trying to develop the next generation. We're in quite a niche market where there isn't a lot of talent out there. Yeah. So we went and handpicked all the good guys. Yeah. And then what we're now doing is try to help develop the next generation. Yeah. We've got high ambitions because one of the things that I'm not talking about, so a software platform, there's nothing else out there like it just now. Yeah. We've also got a KTP in place with Strathclyde University, so we're building we've built a knowledge-based AI platform. So it's a knowledge-based Bayesian network, which is basically doing exactly the same job as a senior analyst. Mm-hmm. So Kane, who's the brains behind our outfit, right? So I used to say that I was the looks and he was the brains, but now I say that I'm the talker, he's the thinker, because I'm losing my looks.
So he's Kane and you're able.
That's it. Love it.
Going to use that now.
I was waiting to see. I'm sitting there going like that. There's definitely going to be something. So there you go. He's Kane and I'm able.
There you go.
Well, you're not going to cooperate that.
No. I think Jeffrey Archer done it a long time before me.
So what the system right now is called Kane's Brain. Right. Because it's basically an extract of his brain. So we were bringing through all these up and coming engineers, but Kane was having to train them all. So it was just taking too long. We were never going to be able to scale. So like, right, do you know what? We're just going to take your brain, we're going to put it into an AI. Mm-hmm. So this is as far as we know, most AIs in our business, in our sector are pattern recognition or looking at a changing state. As far as we know, this is the first one that's actually deep diving into the actual raw time waveforms and stuff like this and coming up with these answers. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping that it's going to be able to detect up to 80% of the faults by itself, and then you'll still need a human to look at the 20% of real complex things. Right. What we've taught it so far, it's caught 100%, but that's simple things like out of balance, misalignment, bearing faults, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping that's going to do that. So when we actually take that to the market, we've done all the market analysis on it, and we think it's massive. It's going to be huge. So the goal of the business, and people go, they're big, hairy, audacious goal. Mm-hmm. I usually say something else. I don't want to say it in the radio.
No. We need to cut it.
But we want to get to 100 million. So we've just sat with a strategy meeting and says we want to do a ton in 10. Right. So in 10 years' time from now, get to 100 million turnover. Yeah. We're currently looking at our first kind of round of funding. We got a loan of $500,000 from the FSE group. That was to help us through past that kind of stage where we're bringing in indirect roles to look at the structure. So this year's been about consolidation, getting managers in place, getting a team in place so that it's not just into me and Kane. And now it's all about trying to go and
is most of the 25 guys are the software engineers?
So we've got five right now in the team of the software team. Yeah. We've then got a team of site engineers who do the site analysis. Then we've got a solutions team. So the business is split into kind of four sections now. So we've got the site services team, which is people going on site and taking data. We've got the solutions team, which is then putting all these technologies together. Right, vibration sensors, electric sensors, blah, 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 putting them all together. Then you've got the Ailsa Vision and remote support team. That's the software guys. And then we've got a sustainability team.
So this is all an eye-opener for me. Generally, when I see my software guys doing the stuff, I run by them. They're generally coming in skateboards and ponytails and all that kind of stuff, right? But one of them really threw me last week when he asked me a question and told me the answer and said to me, well, how many data points do you think we sent to Walmart last year just on the refrigeration? I said, no, it's like 10.2 billion.
Aye.
I says, well, here's what I'm going to tell you. I bet you nobody looked at any of them.
Aye.
10.2 billion.
It's phenomenal. And that's so we do a lot with obviously vibration and then looking at energy efficiency. So similar to what you guys do in the refrigeration side, we do that in electric motors. So probably about 60% or 70% of most industrial sites, electric motors make up, on most industrial sites, 60% or 70% of their energy consumption for electric motors. So we're then looking at how efficiently they're running and looking at wasted energy across a lot of these plants. And that's now starting to become
Jamie,
something big.
Jamie, I know you've been a star of our scale-up programme. Do you just want to tell the viewers and the listeners what's and all, what it was like going through that?
Well, since you're not here, I'm only kidding on. No, we've had our money out of the Hunter Foundation. We've had our money's worth. So
you're lucky.
So we obviously started off in Dundonald as in the accelerator programme with David. David actually now works for me, Tom.
Brilliant! Brilliant.
So he's in as an organisational development specialist. I actually made that title up when I was sitting playing my phone. But he's in the business. But the West Coast Accelerator, One Scottish Edge, Pre-Scaler, Scale Up, and to be honest with you,
you have had your money's worth, Jamie.
I know.
No, but again, we mentioned it last week. Someone else with the guest on that we are always saying that the conveyor belt in Scotland for entrepreneurship is second to none. And I mean, you're proof of that. You've been through the whole gambit.
100%. And it's the same as ES, obviously Scale Up. There's an ecosystem there of people who want to help. I do think that there's a bigger ecosystem that can be quite hard to navigate, like Scottish Enterprise and some of the other things with SDI and all this kind of stuff. And we're now starting to...
That's how we've never tried to change them.
Aye. Let's talk about the private-led, ecosystem is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Right, absolutely amazing. And obviously, I'm constantly saying, I mean, I'm probably one of ES's best salespeople. I mean, I'm constantly telling people to go on it, the same as for the Scale-Up programme. I mean, I think I've probably at least 4 or 5 people onto the Scale-Up programme because you can't talk highly enough about it. I mean, see the one, obviously the Scale-Up programme, you're sitting there and you're getting advice off of people who have been there and done it. Right, it's absolutely amazing. You're getting a chance to talk to these people, and then you're learning every single time you get there. I mean, I put a video on LinkedIn actually driving down into the Blair in my last day of the Scale-Up cohort, saying, I'm going to be gutted no coming driving down here all the time. We're graduating for our Scale-Up programme, blah, blah, blah. But that is it. So you're driving in there, and then see every time you come out, you're completely energised. Energised to go and do all these great things. Don't get me wrong, by the time the Monday comes and you've got all the crap that's happened on the weekend, it sometimes changes. So it would be good if you could keep that feeling on for weeks and months, but you're coming out there and you realise you're a business owner again. Because at times you just go, you're that too busy, you're not thinking about it.
In the 30 seconds we've got left, give your business a wee plug and how people can get in touch with you.
Get in touch with us, obviously, we're all over LinkedIn. So you can get us Ailsa Reliability Solutions Limited on LinkedIn. Anybody that's interested in anything we do, just phone me. 07899 030 881. There you go.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Sounds like a true salesman.
Aye, true salesman, Tom.
The Go Radio Business Show with Trywire.com.
Tom, our guest this week on The Board You Can't Afford is Paul Duffy, who's the MD of Zudu. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you, pleasure.
Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Paul. We've got some great guests on
Likewise.
Today.
Amazing.
Willie.
Amazing. So can't wait. Tell us a wee bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah. So I am the managing director for Zudu. I've actually only been at Zudu for 12 weeks. I'm the new guy, and I've been brought in as part owner and MD to support the growth of the business.
So somebody headhunt you?
Exactly that. Yeah. So James, our founder, has done a great job of building the business for the last 11 years. Actually, they've been around for a wee while, and they've done some incredible stuff in the software delivery space. But as you guys allude to most weeks, there's a big shift with AI enablement, businesses having a real look at what it is that they're doing and what it is that they need to do. So, yeah, I've effectively been brought in to scale the business, grow the business, and enjoy the journey along the way. Brilliant.
And so, tell us a wee bit about Zudu and obviously 11 years of what the business looked like before you got there.
Yeah, sure. It's so they've been around for 11 years is a long time for any software delivery business, and certainly back then there wasn't a great deal of them. They've dabbled in a lot. They've done a lot. They've got clients like ScotRail, the Scottish Government, the NHS. They've done some incredible stuff. They've done a lot in the startup community. They've done a lot at corporate sort of enterprise level. It's a real mixed bag, to be fair. And one of the things actually realising when I got there is that I don't think they've ever said no to anybody. They've done everything for everybody. And I actually believe that was maybe the sales pitch for a wee while.
Yeah.
But they've done a great job of building a strong team. The culture there is amazing. We're 25 people strong at the minute. We'll do 2.5 million this year. With
Where are you based?
Plans to grow. We're based in Edinburgh. So the business was originally built in Dundee. Mm-hmm. That's where most of the founding team came from. But we've recently just relocated to Edinburgh in the last year.
Yeah. So let me ask you then, I'm always interested when people headhunt people. So what were you doing elsewhere that made the owner want to come and get you?
Yeah, it was just really a mutual conversation. I actually, at my previous place, wasn't really looking, to be honest. I guess that's how all good headhunting begins. But I had done this previously. I've done it a couple of times for tech businesses in terms of growing the commercial team, building the sales function. And I've always prided myself on being a good relationship builder, and obviously done something well enough to be picked up by Zudu. But yeah, I've scaled a few businesses for people. I've built a few businesses myself. So yeah, I think
all in the tech space.
No, not in the tech space. I actually really started in the health and fitness industry. Actually,
right.
I had a business for 15 years that I had founded back in 2010. Again, just from a sales and relationship building perspective, it's the same thing. It's the same process. But I found in 2014 that I had a bit of a gap. I was doing a lot of health and fitness stuff in the morning. I was doing a lot of health and fitness stuff in the evening. I had a big gap in the middle, sort of 9 to 5. So I figured I'm going to get a job and fill the revenue gap that I'm experiencing. But also, I'm bored. I'm bored of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So I got a job in tech. I was selling EPOS hospitality software and systems for a German-based business in the UK. That was great fun. I learned a lot. I was headhunted by another competitor in that space, a Danish-based business. I was their first hire in the UK. And then post-COVID, realised, as is the case now, that hospitality wasn't quite the same. So decided to pivot a little bit and go into more of the sort of enterprise level, bespoke software space. And that's where I've been for the last few years.
But you're not a techie, you're a kind of, I'm a business guy, I understand
100%,
what it takes to make one successful.
Exactly that, yeah. I leave the tech stuff up to the smart people. That's my sales pitch. Tell me the business problem, which I can understand.
Yeah.
But I'll bring in people smarter than me to diagnose it and fix it.
But this is a great example. We've gone about it every week. This is a great example about the different skills that you need.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm dealing with 2 academics at the moment who are wonderful geniuses.
Absolutely.
Who don't have any idea about money, right, and what it takes to grow a business. But with a wee bit of help for other people now, we'll get them there. Absolutely. And obviously, you're a great example of that.
I think that's it, yeah. I think I've always really prided myself on that relationship building piece and the ability to, not just sell and market and build relationships, but really get to the root of the problem that people or businesses are facing. And we recently rebranded Zudu, and one of the sort of marketing slogans, but also mantras that we're leading with is AI-driven and relentlessly human. Because I think in the whole AI space at the minute, there's a lot of chat, there's a lot of buzz, which is fantastic. But there is a risk there that we lose that human piece. Not in a way that, it'll take over our jobs or the machines will kill us all, but in a way that is, we're forgetting that there's actually a human speaking to a human at the other end of this.
Yeah.
So leading with that, I think, is really important. And I think the timing of me joining Zudu is perfect for that, because everybody's on this journey of what can it do, what will it do? And actually, even in the last 12 months, we've gone from what is this AI thing to I know exactly what it is and I know exactly what it can do for my business. So we want to stay relentlessly human in that space and make sure that we are having good conversations along the way as humans, as ridiculous as it sounds.
Yeah, but I think I know why you've been successful in growing businesses. I mean, that's a great strapline, because everybody just looks at it as a faceless function.
Absolutely.
Where it's not, where it's all... So before we go into your question, what do you think then? You will understand what you think the capabilities of this business is. What's your kind of strategy and plan on growth?
Yeah, well, you could break it down. I think obviously business most of the time is built on revenue. We've got plans to increase the team. We've got plans to increase the revenue. All of the good stuff that comes with that. But I think leaning back into that human piece, we want to make sure that we're taking on the right projects. We want to make sure that we're doing the right thing by a client. We want to make sure that we're actually making an impact. I think specifically in the software delivery space, there's a lot of noise. AI specifically, there is a lot of noise. We want to try and cut through that in layman's terms for our customers, because actually a lot of who we speak to are non-technical buyers. A lot of MDs or CEOs or founders that we chat to know what it is that they want to do, but similar to how we've just discussed, they don't know how to do it. So I think growth-wise, we're primed for growth. We're in a really sweet spot for running a tech company with everything that's happening at the minute around that space. But I think for us, it's about remaining relentlessly human and indeed making an impact. And that may sound a little bit cliche, but there's a lot of noise and a lot of people doing it incorrectly. There's a lot of businesses that know what they want, and then they're going on this 2-year strategy plan, and they've got a strategy for a strategy for a strategy. We really want to cut through that noise successfully and make an impact for our customers.
So what is your question for the board?
So the question was leading into a little bit of what we've spoke about, actually. You two have obviously grown successful businesses in your time, to say the least. Where in your careers has being or remaining relentlessly human above the strategy, and I say from the revenue and seeing past the numbers as such, where has that made the biggest impact in terms of staying normal human beings?
Well, that's been the mantra for me every single day for 40 years. I've had this argument with various people from my business. I'd like to think that every decision I've ever made in the business was the best decision for the business and for the people. So, and that has put us in good stead. But probably to give you the greatest example, and people might look at it as a bad example, but a few years ago, I had a client where I was responsible for cleaning their stores, and I had 6,000 cleaners on that particular contract.
Wow.
And that client wanted to cut a third off the cleaning budget. That meant that 2,000 people were getting paid off.
Wow.
And I had to make a big decision that I didn't want to be that person. So rather than end up with 2/3 of the contract, I decided it would be better to have none of the contract. And I told the client to take the cleaning contract back in-house, and they could pay off 2,000 people. And I think that decision probably cost me £3-4 million a year. It was probably the best decision I ever made.
Absolutely, yeah. And you remember it as that as well. 100%. You don't remember it as the loss, you remember it as the success that it came
100%.
with.
I would not have wanted the grief of having to tell 2,000 people that they were paid off.
Yeah. Wow.
What about you, Tom?
So I think it's a great question, Paul, and I'm just thinking about some of the things that have happened along our crazy journey. And I think it was the bringing people along on the journey. You know, when I started, for going way back, you know, I was on my own for maybe 3 or 4 years, and it's a very lonely thing. But then you begin to think, right, there is an opportunity here to get a bit bigger, but I can't do it myself. And we talked about it earlier in conjunction with Elon Musk. You know, his team are burning out because he's not taking care of them. So he kind of brings people in and spits them out. I mean, that has never been our philosophy. It's never been the way we look at business. But being able to enthuse people especially when you didn't really have the money to do it and you didn't know how you were going to do it. But, you know, could say, I think we could grow a big business here and I'd like you to come. So I think that being human and, you know, frankly, showing your frailty, you know, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew if I surrounded myself with great people, we'd have a fighting chance of doing it. And hopefully that stayed with us, because one of the biggest challenges is to keep acting like a small business as you go to a big business. And I always remember Tom Farmer telling me that the bigger you get, the dumber you get. And I didn't quite know what he meant, but at the time, but I soon got to know what he meant. And just keeping that human side of it to say, right, we've now got a big business, but it's built by people. And is this the right decision for them? It might be the right decision for me, but is it the right decision for them? And Willie's example is really powerful there. But I think just having been able to put yourself in other people's shoes, Paul, and to see it from their point of view, it's a bit of a superpower, I think. What do you think?
I totally agree. I think I spent a lot of time in health and fitness helping other people. It was one of the reasons I started a business. When I used to work in health clubs, I was actually the guy that would sign you up in a January and watch you cancel your direct debit in a February. Actually, that was my role, and that actually upset me over a sort of short period of time. So we left to start our own business, and the impact that you could make on others was actually really a nice feeling. So yeah, I've kind of carried that through for the last 20 years as well, and I think it's super important, especially with the AI buzz and the power of technology nowadays. But I think we can never lose sight of that.
Brilliant. Well, good luck.
Thank
good
you.
luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
So, Paul, it's great to meet you, even if it is remotely, and I can tell you're going to do great things at Zudu.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Tom, not a brilliant show in the can, so I hope all the viewers and listeners enjoy it, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. Thank you.